G'day, my name's Darryl Webb. Today we're going to have a look at the AllPowers R2500 power station, and we're going to have a look at the SP033 200 watt folding solar panel that goes with it. We'll go over some of the specs. I will show how it charges and everything like that. We'll talk about how its performance has been for me, and we'll do a bit of pros and cons. And if it's something you're interested in, I'll drop some links in the description at the end where you can pick one of these up, because these guys are very affordable, especially when you compare to some of the other brands that are popular here in Australia. And I've had a few of these different models now. This is the biggest one. I've had the R1500, the S2000. Yeah, I've had a few of their other smaller models as well, and they've all been super good for me, and I thoroughly enjoy using them still to this day. So I'll shut up now and we'll get into the review. All right. We'll have a quick look at some of the features, some of the things that it can do. So it has inputs. It can take up to, it's got AC inputs. It can take up to 15 amps max. So it can charge up to 2000 watts from AC. It can charge up to 1000 watts from solar at max. And it can charge also from 12 volt, 24 volt DC. The AC output ports, they give out to 2500 watt max, surge to 4000. USB A's, there's two of them. It gives you 24 volt max. There's another two of them that give you 36 watts max, so that gives all your different voltages. So it's like 5 volt 3 amp, 9 volt 2 amp, 12 volt 1.5 amp. There's USB C's, a couple of them at 100 amps each, 200 watts. And it's got a couple of DC ports, 120 watt max DCs, and a car port 10 amp, which is 120 watt max. The battery info, it is just over 2000 watt hours, and it's a lithium iron phosphate, so that's always a good thing, because that will help it along with longevity. It can take many cycles. They're saying over 3500. But we'll have a quick look what it's actually sort of the basics of it is. So these are the outputs. So you've got a standard cigarette lighter style and a couple of barrel type connectors. There's also something else there as well. Over this side you've got some USBs. These are USB-Cs, these are 100 watts. You've got USB-As that are 12 watts and USB-As that are 18 watts. So these will still give you that fast charge on your phones. And obviously if you've got anything that needs 100 watts, it can deliver all the way up to 100 watts. So things like the new Starlink Mini, laptops and things like that. The unit weighs 29 kilos, so she is a bit weighty. But the basic use of it is, you press the button and it turns on. You probably can't see it because it's dark, but it gives you a battery percentage, so it's 98%. And you can see what's in and what's out, and it gives you time remaining. So for instance, then if I wanted to use the 240 volt outlets, which will give you, there's 4 of them, Australian type plugs, you press that and it turns the AC inverter on, and that lets you get 240 volt AC. This one doesn't have none of the wireless phone chargers. Some of their smaller models you can stick a phone on top, or a couple of them, and it will give you wireless charging for your phones. This one doesn't have that. I'll quickly turn it a bit so you can see. On the side here there is the AC inlet, circuit breaker overload, and this is a little charger input where you put your solar or your 12 volt chargers. 12 volt charging lead, for instance, for charging off the car. And this side has basically just, there's a couple of these connectors here because you can buy other batteries, the same sort of physical size, and you can actually slave them together, and then your AC inverter and everything can utilize that battery as well. Everything about it feels nice. All the buttons are very clicky, responsive, gives a nice little beep. Here's the AC inverter turn on and off. All the flaps are good for keeping dust out, so if you take this guy camping or, you know, caravanning or something like that, everything about it seems pretty well made, and the other ones that I've used have been like that too. I haven't had no dramas with build quality. They seem quite strong. There is handles built in at the side here, and that lets you lift it, and you do sort of need them, being that this guy is quite heavy. Alright, I thought we'll give this guy a bit of a test. So we'll put its AC on, and what I'll do is first, I haven't actually tried to see what its peak is on this guy, but make sure I've got that on. Oh, was on already. We'll test my little air fryer. I don't know if you guys watch my channel. I worked a lot as hunting, so I used to have to live out of my car for a while at times. So I have things like a cordless kettle and a air fryer and a toaster and a fridge and whatnot. So that guy's drawing 1008 watts, 1006, so that's doing that nicely. I do have a 2000 watt inverter and a lithium battery set up in my car, and it can handle one of these at a time. Let's see what happens if I put the kettle on as well. Better plug it in, better I? Ooh, 2416. Let's see what it does. That's running up near max. So this thing's going to be 2500 continuous, but that is a lot, and it's a pretty warm day. Yeah, look, that's doing that fine. The USBs and everything I have used, they all work fine. I haven't got anything now that I can actually test the 100 watts to see if that really gives me 100 watts, but I can't speak for that. But the R1500 I had, it could do that, so I can't see any reason why, if they say that R2500 do that, being a bigger unit, won't be able to do that as well. Charging, it's very easy to charge. There is an app. You can hop on the app and you can change some of the internal settings. For instance, you can make it so it charges faster or slower for quiet modes and things like that. It does make, if you're charging it fast, it does make a bit of fan noise, obviously, because it's got to keep itself cool. So you will notice that, but if you set it at a slightly slower charge, you can drop it down to where the fan isn't so noisy, and it can do that. Look, I'm going to call that a pass because that's still drawing 2400 watts, and turn that off. And this guy, I can hear a fan going, but it's very quiet, nowhere near as noisy as the kettle or the air fryer. So as you can see, it claims about it's 2400 watts or 2500 watts. It does quite easily. We'll put it on some solar and see how the solar goes. All right, so this is the SP033 folding 200 watt solar panel. Now I actually have 3 of these already. I bought some of them myself, and a couple of them I've had sent with another power station. I'm a big fan of these. I was before I even started working with AllPowers, so that, I put my own money where my mouth is. But essentially this folds out. There's 4 of these panels, and it's got legs on the back. These are a polycrystalline panel. Now I know everyone's going to go, oh, monocrystalline is the most efficient. Essentially, monocrystalline is the main difference you're going to notice, is that it's a tiny bit smaller for its size. So these are done in like a, I don't know, like a nylon corduroy, I guess you'd call it, woven nylon cover. They got a little bit of padding on the back. As I said, they got a good little carry handle. They got these Velcro legs, one for each panel, so when you tilt it, it stands up, and you fold out all 4 panels. Now, on here, so these aren't just for these power stations. So typically what it has is, it has 2 MC4 connectors. So what becomes really good about these is, and I'm happy to have a 4th one now, is you can run them in series. So I can run, say, 2 panels in series and another 2 panels in series, run them parallel together, get, say, 40 volts, or I can run them all in series so you get a higher charge rate. And this one, because it came with a solar panel, like if you buy a power station, it doesn't come with it, but if you order a solar panel as well, you get a lead that gives you MC4 to the, I think it's the XT60, so it can charge straight into the unit. You also get on there a little barrel type connector, and quite a few different little connectors for different brands of power stations or other ways of charging things. So for the moment, we're just going to use this, and we'll set it up, and we'll see how it performs. Now, this is just to show you guys, but what I've found is typically, we all know that solar panels lose their efficiency as it gets hotter. In Australia here, It's not uncommon for us to get 40 plus degrees, you know. I think the hottest day I remember being up here, out camping, was about 45, and it's not much fun. But when you start getting over 40, these guys will lose efficiency. All solar panels do. But I found typically, even in those conditions where it's horribly hot and it's in direct sunlight, so these panels are working really hard in direct sunlight, I'll get at least 50% of their stated output. And that's what I try to base things on. A good solar panel will give you half of what it says in the worst type conditions. When the days are great, you know, springtime when the sun's very strong, but the weather's, you know, 15 degrees, I have seen these get up to about 180 watts per panel. So, you know, it's sort of, you know, it's nearly at its rated output, which is not many panels will actually get their full rated output. That's done in the lab. But anyway, we'll quickly set this up. About the only problem I'll say with them is you'd really need an extension lead if you want to have this out of the sun and this out in the sun. But again, same problem with all solar panels. But we'll set it up and we'll see what this one gives out on a reasonably warm late spring day. Alrighty, so I haven't actually used this one, so you can fold them a bit different however you actually like. There's different ways of folding them, but this is the way it comes from the factory, so you can see it's like that. But essentially what you do is, this will make your life a lot easier, is put a couple of legs out, and there's your two panels. I'll come to the next one, put a leg out, there's your last panel there, and go around like that. So there we have it. I probably should face it better at the sun, shouldn't I? Let's see what we go. That's not too bad. It's not perfect, but it's not too bad. All right, now I'll plug this guy in, plug this lead in, and we'll see what it actually delivers. All right, so I've got it set pretty much straight at the sun. There's a little bit of shading with some grass and things like that, but it's not perfect. But you can see the sun's, it's pretty clear. This panel's been out in the weather a bit already. Let's see if we can get that, if you guys can see it. Try and make it so there's no reflections. It's a bit hard, but anyway, that panel is bouncing at 199 watts to 200 watts. So as you can see, sorry, it's a bit hard to do with this camera and this light because it's producing, yeah, when the sun's out strong. As it backs off, it's gone down to 133 watts now. But as the sun comes out more, it's getting stronger and darker. You know, a bit of wispy cloud around, but it is hitting its 199 to 200 watts, which is really good. But for hot weather, if I got 132, like it's saying right now, I'd be extremely happy. All right, so a bit of pros and cons. We'll talk about the power station real quick. The main pros are everything it actually says, it does, and that's, you know, a lot of stuff you buy these days, someone's their gimmicks. There's no real gimmicks on this one. Everything on it that it actually, all its stats and its figures and everything it says is done, everything I've been able to test, it actually does it. So, and longevity of the device too. As I said, I've owned several other, or still own several other AllPowers power stations. You know, I've got some tucked away in different places. One's a camp and backup one, and one's for this and one's for that. This guy's going to go in my house. It's not going to be sold or given away. This one's going to live tucked away behind a couch in the lounge room for when we have those little random thunderstorms and we lose power for several hours at a time. This will be able to keep the internet, the TV and a fan going in it, no worries. Or even just, you know, if you want to pop the kettle on or something like that, having that bigger inverter at 2,500 watts just makes this very versatile. Now, we'll go into a con, but it's not really the machine's fault. It's probably just a size thing. I would absolutely love this if it was a bit lighter. I know they do make stuff with lithium Turner batteries, which are lighter, and the lithium iron phosphate to get those huge amount of cycle times. You know, lithium iron phosphate typically after 4,000 cycles, they say it's lost 20% of its capacity. So, you know, if this was a 100 amp hour battery in it, it would be an 80 amp hour battery after 4,000 cycles. But when you work that out, you'd have to fully, you know, charge it and discharge it every day for something like 10 years. So, you know, to get to that. So realistically, they're never going to do it. You know, I'm nearly 50. This thing will probably outlive me. Anyway, the battery definitely will. Going on to the con part of it is just, yeah, it's weight. I actually love the size and the capacity of the thing. I think this would be great for camping and caravanning. But I do say, just for general, my wife picks it up and moves it. I've had it in her way. So she's had to pick it up and move it a couple of times while she's doing something. And she does pick it up and move it, but she's like, it's too heavy. For me, it's not a drama, but if this was like your main one you wanted to take, you know, camping and caravanning, I'd be more for, if your wife or someone has to move it, it might be a little bit too weighty. But if you leave it somewhere permanently in your van or in the vehicle, then that's not an issue anyway. For me, I don't have a trouble with it at 29 kilos. It's not that much heavier than my big water can. You know, I think I've got a 25 litre jerry can for water, and it really doesn't feel any heavier than that. So yeah, I really like it. I'm going to keep it and I'm going to use it. It's going to be my own backup power. But that is what they actually market it for. So the con about it being heavy for camping isn't really that much of a con, because they do make models that have, say, 1500 watt hours of battery capacity and like a 2000 watt inverter that only weigh, you know, less than half that. So yeah, they do have their bases covered for other stuff. The SP033s. I said I've been really happy with them. I've had one now for about 3 years, and it's been on a lot of big trips. These things are light. I think they only weigh about 5 or maybe 6 kilos or something like that. 5 or 6 kilos. Yeah, something like that. They're quite light, so you can typically have, you know, well, now when I go away, I'm going to take 800 watts of power with me. And if you can chuck them out, 800 watts of power, it's enough to, you know, you can run something pretty significant just off the solar power alone. You know, you could have your travel buddy going and still be pumping in, you know, even on the hottest days, you're still going to be pumping in probably 600 watts into your battery and be running your travel buddy. Yeah, I like these. I love their form factor. I like their weight. They're compact. They don't take up too much room, even to take 4 of them. Maybe I'll have to buy a fifth one now to make it an even 1000 watts. But this paired really well with this, and 200 watts is not insignificant. If you bought it with 400 watts into this guy, you know, with a 2000 watt hour battery, you know, if you were down low, you know, 10-15%, really in about 4 hours of good sun, you'd have this fully charged again, which is pretty impressive. Anyway, on that note, I'll stop waffling. If you like these guys, I'll put some links in the description so you can go and check them out. I really do. If you're looking at some of the other brands, I'm not going to say their names or anything like that, but you know the other big players and the other big names. These guys come in significantly more affordable than them. You know, like a pretty big margin. And I think a lot of them you're paying for names and reputations. But I've got to say it, don't discount the AllPowers stuff, because as I said, I've been using them. I've used them in really rough environments. You know, full drives ready for corrugations and putting them out in suspect weather where they've been copping fog in the morning, you know, so everything's in a bit dewy or slightly frozen, or even, you know, in extreme heat is probably more common for them, and they're still holding up great. So I highly recommend them. Anyway, on that note, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more stuff like it, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to check these guys out, I said check out the links out in the description. They'll have some big sales on Black Fridays coming up and all that. So yeah, check them out, do some research, and see what you think. Anyway, on that note, bye for now. Catch you later.